Hi and welcome to Access Learning Zone. I'm your instructor Alex Headley, and in this lesson we're going to run through a custom ribbon in code. So we're back in the blank template and we're going to change a few options this time around. So if we go into the file menu and options, as before we were using the custom ribbon and adding a tab in there. We're not going to do it that way this time. We're going to instead add it in code. So for that we need to add a new table. And this is going to be a hidden table, so I'm just going to go into the options and show them. As you can see, there's no ribbon list there. Another option that's good to put on is client settings. In general, there's show adding user interface errors, so that can show up any issues if when you're copying in some XML that we'll do in a second. It'll pop up with so many error messages. So we need to create a new table. So we'll go create table design. In this we've only got a few fields. So we've got an ID, and that's going to be an auto number. We have a ribbon name, and that is short text, and then ribbon XML is going to be long text or the previous memo field. Save that. Call it use this ribbons because it's a user table, but still a system table, and ribbons. Click OK, we'll set the ID, and we can then close this table. If you want to, table properties, hidden, and we can add in some extra description information there. So if we save that, we can then open up the table and we can create a new ribbon. So before we called it my tab, so let's call it that. And then I'm going to go to some code that I created earlier. So this is made up of XML. There's some custom tags for specific to this, and it's using an old schema from 2009. So we're creating custom UI in Access. It's going to be of type ribbon, and start from scratch means we want to see no other ribbons or tabs showing up there. We just want ours. If you set that default, you'll get the old ones with the create external data, that sort of stuff, so you can properly lock down your database. Now in a previous version of this a few years ago, it worked without an ID on the tab, but it's now complaining that it needs one, so I've added one. You can give the group name whatever you want. I'm going to call it my group like we did previously, and then we're using the file backup database that we used previously. So if we copy that and then paste it into the XML field, save that, and we'll just make this a little bigger so you can see you can put quite a lot of XML in here. So we save it, close it. We then need to set this tab. So if we go back into options and go to current database, if we scroll down, you can see that the ribbon name still hasn't populated. I've had this issue a couple of times, so I'm going to close the database, reopen it. Now the error UI isn't popping up that we're turned on, so it can be quite difficult to debug these problems. So if we go to open and pick the ribbon again, and go to file, options, might have just needed a refresh. As you can see, there's now shown the list. We can go to my tab, click OK, and then again we'll probably have to reset the database. So we open it up, we'll go back to ribbon, and as you can see we now have a my tab and a backup database. Click the button like we did before, and it'll give you an option to save a backup of that database. As we can see, there are no other tabs there, and if you were to hide the navigation bar, that would be only allowing the user to click the buttons that you've implemented. If we pop back to this and we change this to false and click save, we can close the database again for it to reset. We'll close all of Access as well because it's sometimes good to refresh everything. Click back, and as you can see now we have the usual ones back up, and also my tab. And that's it for this lesson. The next lesson I'm going to run through the Northwind dev database and show you how they've done it, because they've added some pretty cool new features that I didn't know about, like a drop down in this grouping, and changed the way that you can actually write the XML for the buttons. See you in the next one.